Hi, Gene Burnett from GeneBurnett.com. Hey, I thought we'd talk today a little bit about practicing and dealing with distractions. I did another video about this, I think, a while back, and I just wanted to say a little bit more about it. I think in the first video I talked about trying to, or working to include distractions in your practice rather than to try to blank them out. I know initially when you first start learning a movement or you first start learning Tai Chi or anytime you're doing something new, you need to concentrate on it. You need to focus on it. You need to think about it, right? You need to think about what you're doing in order to do it. It isn't like you just flow into it and just feel your way into it. That's hard to do. Like imagine if you were learning to drive a car and you're 16, the guy just puts you behind the wheel and says, okay, that's the accelerator, this is the steering wheel, just drive, man, just feel it. No, I mean, you should be in your head a little bit, because you're thinking like 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and the safety belt, and mirror, and what's going on the road, the rules of the road, and learning how to feel, how much gas to put on it, and the teacher gives you tips, and you remember them, and you think about them, and you try to do them, and then eventually it becomes second nature. Says the guy who hasn't driven a car since 1976. But I remember long ago when I had a license for a minute there. You need to focus at first when you're learning something, but eventually as it gets more and more comfortable, look, life is distracting. Martial arts, man, there's distractions all over the place. You get in a street fight outside a bar or a club or something, I mean, there's going to be other people, sounds, lights, flashing things going on, different people, maybe multiple opponents. You get into any life situation where you're trying to hold your own or act in a balanced way, which is pretty much everything. There's always distractions. I mean, I'm sitting here doing this video, and just right over there, it is unbelievably beautiful. We've had an incredibly wet spring. There's a hill over there called Grizzly Peak. It's emerald green. It looks like Ireland over there. The sun is setting over here. The beams are shooting over there. It's right there. So I'm not blanking that out. I'm noticing it. You want to notice the things that are distracting you, or potentially distracting you. At least I do. I want to notice these things, and I want to include them in what I'm doing. So when I'm doing the form, I'm not trying to blank out or force my awareness away from those things and bring it here, still the mind, focus here, do this. I'm not against that. There are people that get a lot of value from doing that kind of practice, but what I'm advocating that you experiment with, as usual, I'm not dogmatic about this, but something that works for me is to think of these distractions as just part of my practice. I look over there, I take in all that beauty, and then I go on to the next movement. And I'm doing my thing, and I notice, oh, there's a bird I haven't seen before. I notice it. I'm not trying to blank these birds out, and I bring my attention back to what I'm doing. So I think of them as things to include and be aware of, but basically focus on my practice. I think of it like, I call it like peripheral awareness. Like my primary awareness is on my body and my frame and what I'm doing. But I've got this peripheral awareness going too, where I'm noticing the potential distractions. There's a video, and I've been looking for it, and I haven't been able to find it. If any of you know where it is, comment below and help me find it. It's a video of Mike Tyson when he was a young guy training. He's hitting a heavy bag, right? And he's Mike, he's ferocious, he's strong, he's balanced, he's in his prime, he's just a beast. And he's just going for it on the bag. But there's another bag on a rope that's swinging through his head plane. And that's like a little bag. It looked hard. It looked like a little leather bag. That one's going through his head plane. So he's got to watch this, duck that bag, hit this, hit that, hit this, duck that. He's got to constantly be aware of this thing. And I just thought it was just a genius training device. I don't know who came up with it, but it seems to me a really good way to train against tunnel vision, to train against narrowing down and just only focusing here, but to keep your awareness of what else is going on in the room and that. Because apparently, I've read this from many sources, when adrenaline really kicks in, you tend to get tunnel vision and just rivet on the thing that's right in front of you, which can be a benefit sometimes, but it can also be a detriment if there's multiple opponents or different things going around. Or I've seen a video where a guy was on top of another guy hitting him, and he was just laser focused on this guy, and this guy's mom just walks up and kicks him in the face and knocks him out cold. The video goes for another 5 minutes and he's still out cold. Serious concussion. So peripheral awareness is really good. So having that bag there, and at the same time, you don't want to be just too focused on the bag, otherwise you don't strike the heavy bag. So if he's focused too much on the bag, he gets hit by the little one. If he focuses too much on the little one, he's not really hitting the bag. So the idea is to do both, to maintain most of your power function here, but at the same time keep that peripheral awareness. So like a lot of things, it works as a great metaphor for me. So when I'm practicing in the park and a sketchy character comes up and walks by me, or kids come and playing frisbee or something, or wild turkeys, running around the park, or deer, or other things that are going on that are potentially distracting, maybe even potentially dangerous, someone who might theoretically, want to mess with me. I just think of Mike, and I think of that little bag, because I can't afford to not pay attention to these things. I need to include them in my awareness, but at the same time, I don't want to be just focused on those things, because I need to do my own practice. So I keep this peripheral awareness of these things while I'm doing my own movements. I would say 80-90% focused on this, but I'm keeping 10 or 15 just noticing what's going on around me, taking it in, and being aware of it. Again, it's finding that balance, because I find it's more distracting if I try to blank it out. I'm in this tension state of trying to resist this, and that detracts from my practice. Whereas if I work to include it, my practice gets a little bit deeper. If a sketchy person comes and stands, or sits 10 feet away from me while I'm practicing, looking at me and muttering to themselves, that is distracting, especially if I try to blank it out. But if I include it, it's something I need to pay attention to. I don't know this person. I don't know what they're going to do. If I include it, it's not like my practice is as focused or as centered as if they weren't there. I would have less to deal with, and so I might be a little bit more fully present in my form. But actually, I really like it. It's a pressure test. It's a pressure test of my peripheral awareness and on my balance. So I'm sitting there, I'm on one leg, I'm doing a kick, maybe my ankle's a little unstable that week, and I'm trying to, kind of make sure my ankle's in the right place, and I can do that kick, and I can do that next move, and at the same time, I got to focus on that person. So I actually welcome it. I also welcome no distractions. That's nice. But I also welcome that pressure, because it makes me go a little bit deeper, and it gives me a more inclusive, more what's the word I'm looking for? More integrated into my environment kind of practice, which is the way I want to be in life. I want to know what's going on around me as well as what's going on inside me. So something to experiment. The things that irritate you and distract you, try it another way. Think of them as just that ball swinging through your head plane, like Mike Tyson. Think of them as just something you got to keep track of while you hit the heavy bag, or while you do the form, or while you do your work, whatever it is, and see how that goes. If the distraction is overwhelming, okay, practice somewhere else, or practice later, or just try to blank it out. But I think you'll find if you try to include it, that it'll really enhance your practice. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find out a lot more about me and what I do at GeneBurnett.com if you're interested in that, or just subscribe to this channel and you'll get click the little button that'll give you updates, and they'll tell you when I post a video, and you can hopefully get some tips that will help you in your practice and in your life. Thanks for watching.